This is the Critical Conversations podcast, a KPOV special project developed to feature unique perspectives and the courage it takes to go there, challenge mundane thought, and question the norm.
All right, everyone. This is a new series, or actually, hopefully, the start of a few conversations. My name is Teryl Young. I'm with my wife, Kimberly Young, and we're going to call this the couple's conversation, right? And so it's basically us chatting about our experiences and things that we've seen, which is, quite interesting living in Central Oregon. And let's go ahead. Hey, let's get this thing started. We're just going to chat like we would at home, right? And basically, I want to ask Kim, where is she from? And, when did she get to Virginia? And how long did she stay there in Virginia?
I'm from Bend, or actually I'm from Crescent, Gilcrest, Lapine. So I've been here all my life, basically. I am a native from Lapine. I lived there for about, 16 years, 15 years. Then I ended up moving to Crescent. And from there, I was there till I finished school, which was in 2000. Then I ended up going to Virginia because of my ex-husband being in the military. And so I am a product of the Bend Lapine School District and the Klamath County School District. So you can only imagine everything that I have seen from when I was growing up to when our kids were growing up. So, yeah, basically it's a big giant change coming from an area where I'm living in Crescent, Gilcrest. No black people at all. Zero. Had no black people. So when I got to Virginia, the first thing I noticed was black people.
Quite a bit.
Just slightly, because the first thing I said was, wow, there's a lot of black people out here. And everything. So.
Yeah, what was like the difference? Was it as far as like what you saw, like stores, banks? Talking about the racial makeup of places inside of the stores and things that you would see, like when you visited Virginia, like, when you went to a Kmart, Walmart, a bank.
Well, when I went to like a Kmart, a Walmart, a Target, anywhere like that, there's everybody, but there's everybody there. There's mixtures of everybody. There's not just one race. There's not just white people.
Mm-hmm.
You look over your shoulder and there's there could be a Hispanic there. You look on your other shoulder, black people, white people, there's just everything. So it's very diverse out there compared to here, because here is not diverse at all. People say it's getting diverse. It's not getting diverse. Personally, to me, I've seen it, have grown up in it. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's weird because you have black people in banks, you have black lawyers, you have black people in the military. It's just a weird dynamic when you come here. So you have black people all over the place there. It doesn't matter where you go.
They make you feel welcoming too.
Yeah, that is funny because, us living here for, 16 to 18 years, I remember we took a trip back, and I remember that Southern hospitality is a odd feeling. You get it from white and black people, even though it's the South, right?
It's different because when I went to Florida last year in Georgia, the people out there are a lot nicer than here. They welcome you. They don't look down at you. They just welcome you. And you don't feel like you don't belong, I guess you could say. And they're just nice. It's what they say, Southern hospitality.
Yeah, it is very odd. I remember us living there for 2 years. Our kids were 1 and 2. And when we came here, I remember the transition for me was difficult because I'm like, man, where I'm going to work at, and I'm in Crescent, right? So I'm like, what am I going to do here? So we ended up staying. We moved to Bend, and it was very, very difficult. You feel out of place. You don't feel like you're wanted there. It's definitely different. And even when people are friendly, it seems that they really don't want you there. That's just the general feeling that I got. There's these kind of like microaggressions that they do to show you that you're not really a part of this Bend community. And one thing I want to definitely talk about definitely is, the white privilege that you have being here. And that's kind of where I got a lot of my information from based on before I was even doing activism here. Like, what were some of the things that you noticed? And we can even start in Virginia. I remember you was a manager at Rite Aid. Remember that?
Yep. I was a manager at Rite Aid, and Rob, our friend Rob, he's like my brother. He's like your brother or whatever. And he was working there, and we had another associate that was black that was a cashier there. And working on the strip, you get Virginia Beach, oceanfront. So you can only imagine the type of people that are out there. And a lady came up to me and said, I was like, he can help you. My cashier can help you down there. He was, he's black. So she said, no, I don't want him taking my money. I don't want to go to him. And I said, okay, well, if that's how you feel, then I have the right to refuse service and you can get out of my store.
Yeah, I remember that. You were pretty hot and pissed off when you came home and told me that whole situation. But it's a lot of situations like that. It's
just like another situation where we were staying in a hotel and people next door didn't think that anybody was next door. And they called our kids the N-word. Yep. And I heard it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep. They ended up getting kicked out.
They got kicked out? Well, she didn't get kicked out. She went out the back door because I told her I was waiting for her outside in the hallway.
Yeah. Yeah. She ended up getting kicked out as well for that. Mm-hmm. But what was interesting is she was like a prostitute or something. But while she's calling our kids the N-word, she's prostituting herself to black men. I thought that was quite interesting and quite frightening for these black men because they don't know what they're getting into. Waiting for the rape word to come in. I'm sitting there like, wow.
So we got it back there as well as out here. So no place is exempt from getting that because our kids got it here too. Mm-hmm. When we stayed in apartments.
Yep.
When they were going to the Bend Lapine School District, mm-hmm. They had a teacher. I'm not going to say no names, but they had a teacher. He's still playing teacher or whatever, and he supposedly changed. But he openly admitted saying that he treated our kids differently.
Yep.
While my son gets thumped on the head and being called stupid. Mm-hmm. And being put in a room by himself. Now, this is with Malachi. Mm-hmm. And Malachi calling me and you, and the teachers and everything saying we can't control him. We don't know what's wrong. Well, I could tell you what's wrong. He's being singled out for the exact same thing that his friends were doing. But his friends, they were fine. They didn't get thumped on the head by this teacher and called stupid or belittled when we stayed at apartments.
Yeah, he admitted to some racial targeting as well. I thought that was quite interesting. And then
this is at
this is
middle school.
At a middle school, yeah. And now he's running with another nonprofit. I'm not going to mention their names, but I just find that quite interesting.
But he's in with that nonprofit group, and everybody's saying, give him a chance. He wants change. Once you cross that line with me and my kids, it's just hard for me to go back and forgive and forget because my kids, they haven't forgot.
right? Because he didn't get any act right until after we went up to the school and started doing what we had to do to correct the problem. So then all of a sudden, I guess his answer is to let's join one of these one of these groups of color that are, out here in Bend. We'll just join one of them, and then everything is going to be a clean slate. Maybe I'll try to help that way.
It don't work like that.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way, because I feel like if he wanted to reach out to us, he should have reached out to us a long time ago, especially if he had admitted it. And it's not only that with you, you're able to get into areas where I remember you went to.
I went to a party with my friend, and we were in the kitchen and everything, and then they started talking, really like just talking, and then they said something, I forgot what they said, but it was something about black people or slaves. It was about slaves.
And these were white Hispanics, right?
Yep. They were white Hispanics. Mm-hmm. And so they start talking about be a slave, like black people are supposed to be slaves and stuff like that. And I was like, hold up. I was like, you guys don't, I was like, what? I was just like flabbergasted, and just like our friend Belinda, she was like, and I was like, do you guys not know who I'm married to? Do you not know who my husband is? And they didn't realize that I was married to a black guy. A lot of these people out here, I could talk to anybody. I can go and talk to a group of people that don't know me and not have you around. And they're not going to think that I'm married and have mixed kids. When I worked at Prestige and these people didn't know me, and I showed them my kids, they're like, oh, they're mixed. Yeah, they're mixed. And then I show them a picture of you. Oh, you're with a black guy? Yeah, I am. I'm married to one, and that's just how I am. When we were at COCC, I would walk behind people, hear them talk greasy about you guys again. Calling you guys cockroaches and how you guys are just multiplying out here and everything like that. Yep. I hear all that.
Yep. And that's the privilege of you being white and a woman, right? You're able to get into certain places. And this is why my trust issues have been real funny about people who are in the movement and people who do certain things. And it's not just that. It's so bad here that one thing I noticed, I remember we met a few black families, right? That black families, just no matter what the makeup of the families were, they were all black families, and all of them have moved. Most of them have got out of here, right? And there's a reason for that. And there's a lot of self-hate, and there's a lot of politics in interracial relationships. I know us, when we go to eat, or if we were double dating with people, some of the strangest things would be said, like, it's snowing in here, by black men. Just a whole lot of, I like white women only, I can't stand black women. Why? We're sitting here in an interracial relationship, right? Date who you want, but when you start using it as a political tool or a self-hate tool, I have a problem with that. And that's what we would see. The black families would get ran off by the interracial couples. Because they said, okay, well, they're interracial, but maybe there's some camaraderie in there. But for the most part, a lot of the interracial couples are the problem because of the politics of what they think they are, right? There's some people might say, hey, man, I'm Nigerian. I'm not black like them. You know what I mean? And I got a white, right?
Yeah, you are.
Right. They would say stuff like that at the table, and I'm like, dude, what? So that mindset of what's going on, and then the white woman is sitting there agreeing with the stuff. You see what I mean?
White woman has issues too,
right? They're agreeing with it, and I'm sitting there like, man, what? What kind of town am I in right now? What does that really mean when you have an interracial relationship? And that goes from everything, when I was at CLCC learning about, I remember the white women would always ask, why do these white men like all these Asian women? I couldn't understand that at first. That was my beginning of studying white supremacy. And what happened was there was a guy sitting at the table, but I didn't know he was, suspected white supremacist. And he was talking about how they're going to Asian women because a lot of them in Asia, and this is just the way it is in some cases, a lot of them have the same white supremacist thinking as them, right? So they would choose the Asian woman. So when I would see them together, right, I'm always having a red flag. Doesn't mean anything. They always throw up, hey, this is just interracial relationships. But there's politics in that too, right? I'm not saying everybody does it, but a lot of them were like, hey man, we got the same views as this white man, right? We are white like them. That's what you saw when you went to that party where you had these white Hispanics and some of them were dark Hispanic. This was basically an Hispanic party, right?
It was a Hispanic
party, but they considered themselves
Hispanic party,
right.
and they considered themselves privileged. Also, I guess you
Right.
could say, like everything like that, and they didn't realize that they just didn't realize.
Yeah, they got comfortable around you because you were white,
Mm-hmm.
because they saw themselves as being white.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the, Oregon has a major problem with that. I'm noticing that everywhere I go. I look and see the combinations on Galveston, the combinations of mixed people eating, majority of them white on Galveston, or anywhere you go where you eat, it's mostly white people or people who have that little tone, that little olive skin,
Mm-hmm.
kind of there's something, right? But they all basically believe in them being perceived as being white people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the, and even the dark, like people from India, I've had, it's a whole lot of, they get on code. Like when I walk into a restaurant, there might be some interracial couples there, everybody having a good time. But when I walk in, all of them, the dark Hispanics, the Indians, the Asians, everybody will get on code and look at me some type of way. And you'll hear the little snickering and this and that.
Oh yeah, they've even clenched their purses and locked their doors.
It's like, yeah, I might be. But see, here's the issue. Soon as there's a war in Asia, if we went to war with India, we went to, you see what I mean? Then all of that gets thrown out the window because now the white supremacists, they're basically going to say, oh, no, you're not with us anymore. We're going to revoke that card. You ain't with us anymore. Not really. And you never really was, right? But that's part of the problem with trying to fight white supremacy out here is you got too many people on code with each other against us, unfortunately. And that's why I tell people that you've been in situations where you've had the privilege to see certain things. And I've seen it too, even with my own black people who live here who tend to have their own anti-black views. We've had black people that work with you. I remember there was a female that worked with you who was black, right? But she was adopted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know where we're going with this, right? She was adopted and she was working where you was. And what happened with her, Kim? Tell them what she said real comfortable in front of you. When I think it was at lunch. I think y'all went to lunch or something like that. And it was a black female who didn't start there long. I just know something about you saying that she was talking real bad about black people, right? And this was at Prestige. And her husband was white with one of them beards like a,
that all black men or something.
Yeah, that girl. Remember her?
Yeah, she was just saying that black men, she's with a white dude or whatever, and she was just with her man, and that all black men are just not, they're abusers, or they beat women and they rape women, and that they nobody, and she didn't realize that
And this is a black woman.
Yeah, she was just saying that all black men rape women, and they don't care about their kids. They just pregnate people and leave them, and it's just stuff like that. And she's like, that's why I have a white husband or white boyfriend. I don't know if it was boyfriend or husband, but that's why I'm with him. And
she ended up getting fired, right? She ended up getting fired for some crimes that she did.
Yep.
As a black woman, right? So she's throwing the stereotype, but she gets fired, right? Yeah, that was insane, but the other girl that was there, she got fired and ended up leaving, right? and I guess ended up having other issues. But it goes to show that when you're adopted, you can also be whitewashed, right? And that's part of the issues that we see in here when we talk about this unity and everybody's together. A lot of these people that I do talk to that are adopted, they end up not even knowing who they are as a black person, right? Because they don't understand their own history while they're adopted by white parents. And the white parents who says, well, we want more diversity. Well, why are you here in Bend? You know you're not going to get that. You got a black kid. Why are you here in Bend? That makes no sense. And then what happens is they end up forming these groups, white mothers with adopted children, white mothers with adopted black children, or children from Africa, right?
If you adopted them, then you should be teaching them
their history.
You should be learning how to do their hair.
I see a lot of that. Yeah.
Not having these kids go out there looking crazy, because and those kids don't know, they think that it looks okay.
And the parents should be more engaged with black people. Right?
Exactly.
If you're here and you're saying you want diversity, why aren't you engaging with other black people? First of all, there's not enough black people here to engage with. If we want to be real, everybody's whitewashed. So mentally, they might be somewhere else, right? They might not have the same experiences, and that's what I've noticed.
People have to realize, also, we're having mixed kids or kids, adopted kids or whatever. They're gonna have. Our kids, they didn't have it easy out here.
Mm-mm.
At all.
Nope.
And when we stayed at the apartments and they come rushing in crying, saying that these neighbors up front said, "Run, these little ends, run."
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And then Michaela, being called out names, and everything like that, and having his mom come over
mm-hmm.
and knock on the door.
I remember that.
Saying, she was raped by a black guy while she feels intimidated and everything while you're standing there eating the salad by me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that because I remember my answers were, my ancestors was raped. Should I be intimidated by you? I remember that, right? She couldn't say anything, right? She up and left, because the truth is the truth.
But truth be told, her son actually changed.
Yeah, he changed. Yep.
He changed.
He did.
Both of them did.
Yeah.
And so change can happen. It's easier for a child to change than an adult. To me, the school system out here is a joke to me. I went to Ben LaPine School District, and when I hear people say, "Oh, they're elected in, this is what change is going to happen." Change not going to happen. It hasn't happened. This school district has failed so many kids. My son still deals with the fact that his son or his best friend killed himself over Ben LaPine School District.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest issues we have. We're getting letters. It's interesting that nonprofits, especially places like COBLA and a few other people, are getting letters from these parents saying that their son was called the N-word, or they had their hair pulled,
but
or
you see
choked.
Who they're turning to. They're coming to COBLA and other people because of the school system failing them.
Yeah, I agree. We've been getting a whole lot of emails and letters, and I know that Ricardo and a few others, Shandell and people like that, have been talking to our school superintendent. But this is a major, major issue. And yeah, I mean, it's, hopefully we can have change, but I just don't see it anytime soon. We have the most people of color up there, but we have certain people that I know that I've talked to that say they don't even have any power to really do anything. And that's sad. Eventually we're just going to have to say, hey, I ain't worried about the election. I'm just going to do what I got to do. One strike rule or 1, 2, 3 strikes you out rule. I'm more concerned about the safety of those all kids, but the kids of color as well. They need to be able to have a safe environment to learn. It's crazy, but hopefully we'll get there. So yeah, this is our first conversation of the couples show or the couples conversation. And join me next week when we'll have another conversation. What will it be? I don't know. We're just going to flip a coin and just kind of chat about what we want to chat about. I'm Teryl Young of KPOV. I'll see you soon.
You've been listening to a KPOV Critical Conversation. To hear more engaging interviews on important topics, please visit kpov.org/criticalconversations.